I'm a single mother of a 15-year-old boy, Ethan, and everything was going well in my life until the day I met my best friend, Ellen. We've been friends for over a decade now, and there's nothing like a night out with her to recharge me. We were at our favorite restaurant, catching up on life between mouthfuls of pasta and sips of wine, when Ellen slid her phone out of her bag. "So," Ellen smirked, "you'll love this. I got a new batch of message requests on Facebook last night. Some of them are just ridiculous." She scrolled through her messages with a smile. "Oh my God, Jazz, listen to this one." She snorted. "Your eyes are like the ocean, and baby, I'm lost at sea." Who even writes these anymore? I nearly choked on my wine. Please tell me that's not from the engineer guy who sent you a friend request last week. Worse. It's some dude who claims to be a cryptocurrency entrepreneur. Ellen made air quotes, rolling her eyes. "You should see the messages I get. Come on, check yours. I bet your inbox is full of gems too." I rolled my eyes, laughing. "Please, Ellen. Who's messaging a boring oldie like me? Half the time I can't even figure out how to use these apps. Just check your message requests." Ellen reached across the table, grabbing my phone. "Look, you have unread messages. Come on, humor me." All right, I said with a dramatic sigh as I took my phone back. "But I'm telling you, it's just going to be spa." The words died in my throat as I read the most recent message. "Hi Jasmine. I know this may sound odd to you, but I think you're my half-sister." "What is it?" Ellen leaned forward. "Some guy named Robert." I showed her the message. "Says he's my half-brother." Ellen burst out laughing. "Is that supposed to be a pickup line? Because that's a weird one." I tried to laugh it off. "Is this some new dating trend? Pretend you're family to get attention?" "Who knows?" Ellen chuckled. "Maybe he thinks being your long-lost sibling will make him irresistible." We both laughed it off and finished our meals, but something about the message stuck with me. The tone didn't have the typical goofiness of a flirty message. It felt serious. Ellen moved on, chatting about her weekend plans, but my mind kept circling back to those words. Half-sister? I thought and felt curious to know more about that man. That night, after tucking Ethan in and double-checking his homework was done, I sat on my couch in the quiet of my living room. Robert's message pulled me back to Facebook. I clicked over to his profile and scrolled through his photos. He looked like he was in his late 40s, with a warm, genuine smile. In one of the pictures, he was standing with his wife and kids. My eyes widened when I looked at his daughter. Her eyes were just like my mother's. The same unique shape and soft expression. Could it be? I thought. Was this even remotely possible? I took a deep breath and opened his message again. My fingers trembled as I typed a response. Hi Robert, I don't know you, but, what are you talking about? I hit send and stared at the message. I knew it was probably some mistake or strange coincidence, but I couldn't push it out of my mind. I tried to distract myself with Netflix but kept checking my phone. I couldn't even sleep that night because my mind kept racing with questions. What if he was telling the truth? I thought. How could that even be possible? The next morning, I woke up to Robert's reply. It was a long message, and I could feel my heart pounding as I read it. He mentioned my mother, Martha, by name, and included details of where she was born and even where she lives now. He claimed Mom had given him up for adoption soon after he was born. It felt too specific to be random, but my inner skeptic wasn't convinced just yet. What if he's just some stranger trying to scam me? I thought. I immediately thought of talking to Ellen. I called her and she picked up like she was waiting for my call. Hey, so, remember that guy, Robert? I asked. I messaged him back last night. You what? Ellen was shocked. Seriously, Jazz? What did he say? Seems like he's serious about it, I replied, pacing the living room. He knows Mom's name, her birth details, and even where she lives. And he told me Mom placed him for adoption soon after he was born. Jazz, this sounds sketchy, Ellen said. Ask him for more details. Like, why now? And what about his adoption? I mean, anyone could dig up basic information, but only someone who actually knows would have the adoption details, right? She was right. Following her advice, I texted him back, asking specific questions about his adoption. Then, I put my phone away and tried to focus on my day. Later that evening, I checked my phone. Robert had responded with more information about his adoption, including the year, the location, and even the name of the adoption agency. The adoption year he mentioned was 3 years before my mother married my dad. That timeline would actually make sense if he was telling the truth. However, I wasn't ready to dive in head first. I messaged him back, saying I'd get back to him. Then, I spent the next 2 days scrolling through his profile, looking at his photos, and studying his family. I was looking for any sign to prove this was a scam, but I didn't find anything. Finally, on the second night, I took a deep breath and texted him, saying I'd be willing to meet. He responded quickly, and we arranged to meet at a small cafe I often visited. The cafe was quiet when I arrived early the next morning. Then Robert walked in, and I knew. His eyes looked like mine. We looked so similar. We exchanged a nervous smile as he sat down across from me. "Thank you for meeting me," he said softly. "I know this is unusual. How did you find me?" I asked. That's when Robert began his story. He shared how he'd grown up knowing he was adopted. His adoptive parents were nice to him, so he never tried looking for his birth family out of respect for them. But things changed 2 years ago when his adoptive father passed away. Then, he lost his adoptive mother 8 months ago. "I spent weeks just lost," he said. "They were my entire world. After losing my mom, I started wondering about my biological roots. I suddenly wanted to know about my birth parents." He explained that he first tried getting information from the adoption agency but with no luck. He tried other avenues, but each attempt led to a dead end. Taking an ancestry DNA test was the only option left, he told me. I was stunned when the results said I had a half-sister. "It was surreal," he continued, glancing at me. "I spent 2 weeks just debating whether to contact you. I was worried about what it might mean for you. But eventually, I decided I had to reach out. I needed to know." As he spoke, my mother's image kept flashing through my mind. Why would she keep this secret for so long? Why wouldn't she tell me? Robert finished by expressing his desire to meet our mother. I told him I'd talk to her and get back to him. The next day, I left Ethan with Ellen and drove 4 hours to Mom's house. The familiar 2-story colonial looked exactly the same, but everything else felt different. Mom was tending her roses when I pulled up. "Jasmine." What a surprise. Her smile faded when she saw my expression. "Honey? What's wrong?" "We need to talk, Mom," I said. I told her everything once we settled in the living room. "Someone contacted me, Mom," I began. "His name is Robert, and he says he's my half-brother." Mom looked at me with eyes wide open and her hands started to shake. "Is it true?" I asked quietly. "Mom, you need to tell me the truth. Please." She tried denying it at first. "I don't know what you're—" "Mom, please stop," I yelled. "I know everything. Just tell me the truth." Tears filled her eyes as she sank onto the couch. "I was so young when I met Daniel," she whispered. "I thought he was my everything. He was charming, romantic, and exciting. But then, Then what? He had his struggles, Mom continued. With addiction. I thought I could help him change, but he only spiraled deeper. And in the middle of it, I found out I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I was furious. You had a child with a man you never told me about? I asked. Mom nodded. But I knew I couldn't raise him. I couldn't bring a child into that chaos. So, you gave him up? And never told anyone? Not even Dad? I found a couple who wanted a child, who could give him the life I couldn't, she continued. I left town, started fresh, and met your dad at my new job as a cashier. He was so stable and kind. And I wanted a fresh start with him. I couldn't tell him anything. But you could have told him later, Mom. I argued. Why did you keep it a secret all these years? I was ashamed, Jasmine, she explained. I was afraid the darkness of my past would make me lose everything. I sat back, trying to process it all. All these years, I thought, she kept this buried, not even trusting me with her truth. What about Ethan? I asked. What would he think? Jasmine, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she held my hand. I kept this from you because I thought I could spare you the pain. And once it was buried, I was terrified to dig it up again. I noticed the guilt etched on Mom's face as she spoke. My anger slowly started to fade as I realized she had been carrying this along for too long. She admitted that she'd never tried to reconnect with Robert because she felt she had no right. She feared disrupting his life, thinking it would only confuse and hurt him. She also told me she visited different adoption agencies on special days like Robert's birthday, Children's Day, and other special occasions when I wasn't around. She offered emotional support to birth mothers considering adoption. It was her way of remembering him, and of processing the pain she'd buried. I didn't know, I murmured as tears trickled down my cheeks. You never told me. I didn't want you to see this side of me, she sobbed. But I've been haunted by it every day. In that moment, my heart broke for her, and for everything she'd carried alone. I wrapped my arms around her as she cried. I couldn't believe my mom had pretended to be okay for decades after losing a baby. She had made a painful sacrifice for all of us. I needed a day to process everything before I decided what to do next. The next day, I called Robert and told him I'd spoken to our mother. You think I should meet her? He asked. I mean, it's going to be emotional. Take your time, I replied. Think about it. Later, that evening, I sat down with Ethan. He was only 15, but he deserved to know the truth about his new uncle. I wasn't sure how he'd take it, so I tried to keep things as simple as possible. Hey buddy, there's something you need to know about our family. I said. I explained everything and felt so surprised to see how calmly he handled everything. 3 days later, Robert agreed to meet Mom. We chose a quiet park for the meeting. The initial moments were awkward. Mom's guilt made her hesitant to even call herself Robert's mother. Meanwhile, Robert stood back, uncertain about his decision. But the tension began to ease as they talked. Robert, I'm so sorry. Mom looked down at her hands. I know I hurt you by giving you up and by keeping you in the dark for so long. I thought it was the right thing to do at the time. Robert took a deep breath. I don't know if I can say I understand, but, I'm glad I know the truth now. He paused, the weight of his own words settling in. Thank you for meeting me. They talked for a while before it was time to say goodbye. I almost cried when I saw them hug. They held each other for the first time after decades and the relief on their faces was evident. Driving home, Mom reached over and squeezed my hand. Thank you, she whispered. For understanding. For helping me find closure. And, for forgiving me. I smiled at her. I love you, Mom, I said. And I'll always be there for you. Life isn't simple anymore. But maybe it's better this way. It's messier, and more complicated, but it's more real. I'm just happy our family is finally complete now. Write in the comments what would you have done and subscribe to our channel D Damn Mix.